The air was thick and smelled of oil, smoke, and fear. Jace Carter walked through the narrow alleys of the abandoned trade station. It floated far from any official patrol routes, known only to smugglers, criminals, and traders who sold things no law should allow. Jace wasn't there to get into trouble. He was a mechanic just looking for spare parts. But what he found that night changed everything. The crowd gathered in a dark room with flickering lights. They were silent, eyes glowing, breathing slow as the auction began. On a rusty platform, strange goods were shown. A rare beast from Delta Prime, a stolen energy core, a half-destroyed combat drone. Then came her. She was small, maybe 7 or 8, not human. Her skin was a soft silvery blue, her hair long and tangled. She wore a torn cloth that barely covered her. Her arms were chained, her feet were bare. Her large violet eyes blinked slowly as she stepped forward, pushed by a tall armored alien. The auctioneer laughed. A special piece tonight. Tiny, quiet, rare species, possibly extinct. Bidding starts at 500 credits. Jace stared. Something hit his chest, like a punch, but from inside. She wasn't moving. She wasn't speaking. She just stood there, trembling, looking out at the crowd with empty eyes. 400, someone growled. 450. 500. The crowd got louder. Jace turned to leave, but then she looked at him only for a second, just one glance. But in that single moment, he saw it. Pain, fear, and something else. Something hidden deep behind her eyes. Hope. He looked into his pouch. He barely had 600 credits left. Not enough to buy a new engine coil. Not enough to buy freedom. But he raised his hand. 600. Jace said firmly. The room went quiet. Someone laughed in the back. A human. What's he going to do with her? Teach her to fix ships? 600 once. Twice. Sold. The chains were unlocked. The girl was shoved toward Jace. She nearly fell. He caught her gently, surprised by how light she was, like picking up a feather wrapped in cold skin. Her eyes never left his face. He wrapped his jacket around her and walked quickly out of the auction room. No one stopped him. No one cared. They already had their next item up. Jace took her to his small ship. The girl said nothing. She didn't fight. She didn't cry. She just sat curled in a corner, hugging the jacket like it was the only thing that kept her alive. He warmed up some food and left it near her. Still, she didn't eat. He spoke softly. I'm not going to hurt you. You're safe now. No more chains, okay? No reply. Later that night, as the stars drifted outside the ship's window, Jace sat beside her on the floor. She was asleep, finally. That's when he heard her whisper, so quiet, it was like the voice of a dream. I was once a princess. Jace froze. He didn't move, didn't speak. Didn't even breathe. She said nothing else, just curled tighter, just held onto that jacket like a memory from a better life. Jace leaned back against the cold wall. He didn't know what he had just bought. A slave? A runaway? No, a lost child, who once lived in a palace and now she was alone, sold in shadows. And he had brought her out. He didn't know what would come next, but he knew one thing for sure. He wasn't going to let anyone hurt her again. The girl didn't speak again. Jace tried everything. Warm food, soft blankets, even small toys. From his old storage locker, but she sat in the corner of the ship silent and still, like a ghost. She watched him with those violet eyes, never blinking too long, never trusting too much. She hadn't told him her name. Jace decided to give her time. After a few days, she began eating. Not much, just a few bites when he wasn't looking. She drank water silently and then hid again in the shadows. Jace worked on the ship's engines while the small girl watched from behind a crate. He talked while fixing things, not because he expected answers, but to let her hear kindness. This pipe here, broken in 3 places, he said, holding a tool. Story of my life, always patching up stuff others left behind. She didn't smile. She didn't speak. But her head tilted slightly. She was listening. That was something. That night, Jace looked at the scanner logs. His ship had picked up her bio sign when she entered. He ran the scan again, just to make sure she wasn't sick. What came back shocked him. Unknown species. DNA. Locked. Royal code encryption. Jace stared at the screen. He had never seen a life form scanned like this. Most alien refugees came with records, even the illegal ones. But this girl, she had nothing in the system. Nothing except a locked DNA pattern that only high-level systems could unlock. He leaned back in his chair. Who are you really, little one? The next morning, Jace tried again. He gave her a fresh set of clothes. Soft fabric, simple and warm. She stared at them, then at him. She didn't move. Jace smiled gently. I don't know your name, but I won't call you by a number. He pointed to her wrist. A small burn mark showed the number X94 on her skin. No more numbers, he said. You're not a product. You're a person. He stood. Until you tell me otherwise, I'll call you Nova. The girl blinked. Nova. It was the first time she looked confused, like her mind was trying to hold something. Later, as the ship flew silently through stardust fields, Jace sat with her near the window. The stars reflected in her eyes. Nova, he said slowly. Do you remember where you're from? She was quiet. Then slowly, she nodded. One day, she said softly. But not now. That was the first full sentence she ever spoke, and her voice was calm, like music from a forgotten place. Jace smiled. That's okay. We've got time. She looked at him again. This time her eyes were less afraid, still sad, still broken, but no longer empty. Jace checked the long-range scanners again. Something wasn't right. 2 ships had followed his flight path from the auction planet. Both had shut off their beacons. Both were slowing down near asteroid fields. No signals. No words. Just silence. Someone was watching them. That night, Jace sat near Nova as she slept. He watched her breathing slow. Her small hands curled into fists. She murmured in her sleep, words in a language he didn't know. Suddenly her fingers glowed, only for a second. A soft purple light, like a spark of energy inside her. Then it faded. Jace's eyes widened. She wasn't normal, not even close. She had no name, but her blood whispered secrets. And now, they were both in danger. The ship floated silently through the black stretch of stars. Inside, the cargo bay smelled of old tools, metal, and oil. Jace sat on the floor with a tool in his hand, pretending to fix something. He wasn't. His eyes kept shifting to the small, alien girl sitting in the corner, half hidden under a blanket. Her name was Sira. She had been quiet for hours. Ever since they escaped the market, she had barely spoken. She didn't cry. She didn't ask questions. She only stared at the walls as if trying to remember something. Jace finally broke the silence. You hungry? He asked. Sira blinked. Then, slowly, she nodded. Jace handed her a warm food bar. She took it with both hands but didn't eat right away. Her fingers were thin, shaking. She looked like she hadn't had proper food in days. As she ate slowly, Jace noticed something odd. The blanket had slipped off her back. There were faint lines on her shoulder blades, thin, deep scars. He leaned forward. What happened to your back? Sira froze. Jace raised his hands. Sorry, you don't have to tell me. She looked down, eyes full of sadness. Her voice was barely louder than a whisper. They took my wings. Jace stared. Wings? She nodded. My people, the royal blood. We are born with wings, small at first. But when we grow, they shine like silver light. It's our mark. But yours, Jace started, then stopped. Sira nodded again. They cut them off when they took me. For a long moment, neither of them said anything. Only the soft hum of the ship filled the silence. Then Sira said something strange. My wings, They weren't just for flying, they were part of my memory. Jace frowned. What do you mean? She touched the scars gently. Our wings hold light crystals. They grow with us and store thoughts, family names, old dreams. When they took my wings, they took my memories. Jace sat back, stunned. No wonder her mind was so broken. No wonder she remembered only pieces. But some memories are coming back, she added. Like flashes, you remind me of someone kind. Jace felt something twist in his chest. He had only bought her to save her life. But now, he felt something deeper. Protective. Responsible. I want to help, he said. Sira looked up. Why? Because no one else did. Sira gave a small, broken smile. Her first smile since he met her. Later that night, Jace sat in the pilot's chair thinking he had kept her safe for now. But what if someone came looking for her? He tapped into the ship's database, old news reports, missing royal records, pirate logs, anything connected to the phrase Princess Sira of Zirel. After hours, a small file popped up. A wanted record, not criminal, but a bounty notice. It showed a young alien girl with silver eyes and wings like light. Missing heir of Zirel, presumed dead. Large reward for information. Royal sign, light born with crown-shaped pupil. Jace stared at the image. It was blurry. But the girl, in the picture, looked like Sira. He rushed back to the cargo bay. Sira, he said, waking her gently. Your eyes. Let me see your eyes. She sat up, blinking. Jace turned on a light. Her pupils shimmered, and in the center of each, a faint shape glowed like a tiny crown. It wasn't just a story. She was a princess. The ship shook. Red lights flashed inside the cockpit. Jace's fingers flew across the controls. Behind him, Sira held onto the seat tightly, her silver eyes wide with fear. They're locking weapons, the ship's voice warned. Strap in, Jace shouted. He pulled the ship into a steep dive. Stars spun around them as they dropped through a small asteroid belt. Sharp rocks zipped past the windows. One wrong move and they'd be dust. The enemy ship chased them, dark, sharp, fast. They're not pirates, Jace muttered. Too clean, too quiet. Sira's voice trembled. They're royal guards, but not loyal. My aunt must have sent them. What aunt? Sira closed her eyes, shaking. The one who betrayed me. The moment she said that, something strange happened. Her pendant, dull until now, suddenly glowed. It floated up from her neck and hummed with soft blue light. Symbols danced across its surface. Jace stared. What is that? It's from my past, she said, whispering. It's waking up. Jace saw a gap in the asteroid field and blasted through. The pursuing ship slowed, careful not to crash. They had a few minutes. Sira, that pendant, can you do anything with it? She held it in both hands. I don't know, but I feel it pulling me. Somewhere out there. It wants to go home, Jace frowned. Where's home? I don't remember, but I think the pendant does. The glowing symbols shifted. Then a soft voice came from the pendant itself. Old, robotic, but kind. Royal signature confirmed. Lightblood. Sira of House Zirel. Memory code unlocked. Sira gasped. Her eyes went glassy. The light entered her forehead like a beam of data. She fell backward, shaking. Jace rushed to her side. Sira! Hey, stay with me! She blinked hard, breathing fast. Then she whispered, I remember the garden. My father's voice. He sang to me. My mother's wings. They smelled like stars. Tears rolled down her cheeks. They didn't want me dead. They wanted the throne. My aunt planned it all. She gave me to the market. Her whole body shook with rage and sorrow. The pendant blinked again. Last safe royal location, Moon Sanctuary, Sector 5-9. Coordinates attached. Emergency protocol. Guardian protection required. Jace grabbed the new coordinates and set the course. Hang on, Princess. We're going somewhere they can't reach us. But Sira wasn't done. She looked up at Jace and said, "You're my guardian now. That's what the protocol means." Jace frowned. "What does that mean?" "If I die, you become the key to the throne." Jace blinked. "Oh. Great." Sierra smiled slightly, her tears still wet. "Don't worry. I don't want to die." Hours later, the ship landed on a dead silver moon. Cracked stone stretched across the ground, but hidden deep inside was a carved gate with symbols that glowed when Sierra approached. The gate opened. They walked through a long hallway filled with old alien machines. At the end stood a throne, half broken, but still shining with power. Jace noticed murals on the wall. One showed a girl with wings of light. Her eyes glowed like Sierra's. Another mural showed a family, a king, a queen, and a small child in the center. "That's you," Jace whispered. Sierra nodded, tears in her eyes again. The pendant floated up again and joined with the wall. It sent light across the room. A hologram appeared, a memory. It showed a woman, Sierra's mother. She held baby Sierra and sang softly. Then a shadow stepped into the memory. Her aunt. She smiled sweetly, then turned to guards and whispered, "Take the child. Burn the wings. She must never return." Sierra gasped. Jace clenched his fists. Then, the hologram ended. The room went silent, but Sierra's pendant dropped back into her hand, this time with a soft hum of power. "I was never crazy," she said. "I was a princess, and now, I remember who I am." The sky above the moon cracked with thunder. The comms crackled again with that cold voice. "You have one chance, human. Hand her over." Jace stood outside the old sanctuary gate, blaster in hand. He stared at the black transport ship landing, in the dust, its engines screaming. 3 large figures stepped out, heavily armed, helmets glowing red. Sierra stood beside him, but she looked different now. The crown-shaped glow in her eyes was brighter. Her steps were firm. She didn't hide anymore. The pendant on her chest pulsed with light. Inside the sanctuary, old machines had come alive. Blue lights lit the stone, walls. Ancient cables moved like vines crawling toward the broken throne. Something was waking up, but the enemy was closing in. Jace whispered, "Get inside. I'll hold them." Sierra shook her head. "No, I'm done running." Before Jace could stop her, she stepped forward. The soldiers raised their weapons, but the sanctuary spoke. A deep, rumbling voice came from the stone itself. Light blood detected. Defense protocol initiated. The ground trembled. The cracked throne split open, and from beneath it rose a suit of glowing armor, not to wear but to bond. It floated toward Sierra. She reached out, and it wrapped around her like liquid silver, fusing with her body. Thin, radiant wings made of light unfolded from her back. Jace blinked. "Your wings, they're back." Sierra stood tall now, floating slightly off the ground. "They weren't cut forever. The throne kept part of me safe." Outside, the guards hesitated. One took a step back. "Target has activated royal gear," the voice in their helmet warned. "Proceed with extreme caution." But Sierra didn't. "Wait." She moved like lightning, shooting forward with a pulse of light. In seconds, she landed in front of the lead soldier. With one glowing hand, she knocked his weapon away and lifted him off the ground. "You work for my aunt," she said, coldly. "You helped burn my wings," he choked. "You're supposed to be dead." "I was," she said. "Now I'm reborn." With a flick, she threw him to the ground and sent a wave of energy that disabled the other's suits. Sparks flew. The guards collapsed, unconscious. Jace ran to her. "That was incredible." Sierra's wings folded behind her. "It's not just power, it's memory. This armor, it holds the will of my ancestors." Back inside the sanctuary, the murals on the walls began to shift. The paintings glowed, moving like a living history. One showed her father kneeling, handing the pendant to a baby. Another showed the throne choosing a guardian, a human, standing beside the princess. Jace stared at it. Is that me? Sira turned to him. You're not just a friend, Jace. You're part of the code now. You were chosen. Jace rubbed his neck. I didn't sign up for this. She smiled softly. Neither, did I? But here we are. Suddenly, the floor below the throne rumbled. A holographic table rose up showing star charts, maps, and ancient signals blinking across the galaxy. Sira walked to it and touched one blinking red dot. This is my home planet, she said. And this, she pointed to another, is where my aunt rules now. Jace frowned. You want to go back? Sira nodded. Not for revenge, for truth. My people think I'm dead. If they see me, if I show them what she did, they'll rise. Jace crossed his arms. Then let's go. But you're not going alone. The pendant responded, sending a pulse to the ship, powering its engines. Outside, the air was still. The battle was over, but the war was coming. The stars stretched out like rivers of silver. Sira stood in the center of Jace's ship, surrounded by soft lights, wearing the glowing armor gifted by the hidden throne. Her new wings moved with a gentle hum, not of feathers, but of energy, memory, and something ancient. Jace stood nearby, arms crossed, watching her. You sure you're ready for this? He asked quietly. She didn't look at him. Her eyes stared straight ahead at the navigation chart showing her homeworld, Zerel, now marked as a capital under her aunt's control. I have to be ready, Sira whispered. I wasn't just born into royalty. I was born to protect it. Jace stepped forward. But what if they don't believe you? What if they still follow your aunt? Sira turned toward him. Then I remind them, not with war, but with truth. They arrived at Zerel 3 days later. The world was nothing like she remembered. Once Zerel had glowing gardens, singing rivers, and floating towers of crystal. Now, black ships hovered in the sky. Cities were under heavy guard. Banners of her aunt's crest, a claw around a broken wing, hung from every spire. Jace landed the ship in a forgotten canyon just outside the capital. They hid under camouflage netting. We can't just walk in, Jace said. We're not walking in, Sira replied. We're flying. She stepped out into the open, her glowing wings unfolding wide. The light cut through the foggy air like blades of morning. Jace grabbed his gear and followed. You ever think this is crazy? She smiled. Every minute. They flew low, dodging patrols. Sira led them to an ancient temple, a place once sacred to her family. It was abandoned now, overgrown and broken, but when she stepped inside, the old stones lit up again. A glowing statue of her mother came to life. The voice echoed through the room. If you are my daughter, rise. Let the world see your truth. A beam of blue light shined from the ceiling. It touched Sira's wings and her armor reacted, recording everything, her scars, her pendant, her eyes. It created a holographic message, undeniable proof of her identity. Now we have the key, she said. Let's show it to the world. They didn't go to the palace. They went straight to the Galactic Tower, the tallest broadcast center in the city. From there, messages could reach not just Zerel but half the galaxy. Security was tight. Jace used his tools to overload the power grid. Sira used her wings to shield them from stun blasts. They moved fast. No killing, only disabling. Her light stopped weapons. His skill stopped systems. At last, they reached the top. Jace plugged the pendant into the transmitter. Ready when you are, Princess. Sira took a deep breath. She stepped in front of the galactic camera. The red light blinked on. Across star systems, across dusty colonies and crowded ships, screens turned blue. Then her image appeared. A small girl, wings glowing, eyes bright with royal fire. She spoke simply. My name is Sira of Zerel, I was taken, silenced, hidden in chains. But I am not gone. I live. She showed her scars. She showed the pendant. She showed the royal armor only worn by heirs. To the soldiers who serve a lie, I say, your true ruler, has returned. To the people who suffer in silence, I say, rise with me. Jace watched, stunned. The girl he once rescued in a cage was now shining like a star. Alarms rang. The royal guards were coming. Explosions rocked the tower. Jace grabbed her hand. Time to go. They escaped through the broken roof, flying into the night sky. Enemy ships followed them, but something unexpected happened. From across the city, dozens of lights rose into the air. Civilians, workers, rebels, even some royal guards. They had seen the broadcast. They believed her. They flew with her. The city began to rise. The people of Zerel had waited for a voice. Now they had one. Across the glowing skies, citizens rose from their silence, some in small flyers, some on foot. They wore no armor, held no weapons, but they followed light. They followed Sira. She flew above the city, her silver wings stretched wide. Jace flew beside her in a borrowed hoverbike, scanning enemy patrols. Crowds are gathering everywhere, he called out. They're not afraid anymore. Sira nodded. They remember who I am. Then she looked toward the palace, black towers, shining spikes, and at the top, the stolen throne. Inside the palace, the traitor ant stood in front of her war table. Her name was Lazira. Once second in line, now self-declared queen. Her face was calm, but her hands shook. Send out the crushers, she said coldly. Burn their wings, burn their hope. One general hesitated. My lady, some of our own soldiers are switching sides. Lazira narrowed her eyes. Then burn them too. As Sira approached the palace, black ships formed a wall in the sky. Jace loaded his blaster. We've got incoming. Before he could fire, a strange thing happened. The enemy ships stopped. Slowly, one by one, they turned around. The pilots inside saluted her. Sira looked stunned. They were once my father's men. She whispered. They remember the real Zerel. Now there was no army blocking her path. Only the throne room remained. She landed at the palace gates. Jace followed close, breath heavy. Guards stepped aside. No one dared stop her. At the great doors of the throne chamber, Sira paused. This is it, she said. Jace looked at her. Are you ready? No, she replied. But I have to go anyway. The doors opened. The chamber was wide and dark. And there, sitting on the throne like a shadow, was Lazira. So, the ant said, rising. The broken bird grew new feathers. Sira walked forward slowly. You lied. You betrayed the blood. I saved the world from weakness, Lazira snapped. From you. I was a child. You were a threat. Suddenly, Lazira pulled out a strange weapon, a twisted royal scepter, powered by dark tech. It pulsed with black energy. If you want the throne, she said, come take it. Sira stepped forward. I'm not here to fight you. You will. Lazira fired. The beam struck Sira's shield, exploding in sparks. Jace ducked, firing back to protect her, but Sira didn't flinch. Her armor lit up. She raised both hands, and, from her chest, a pulse of pure memory burst out. Not a weapon. A truth wave. It filled the chamber with visions of her as a baby in her mother's arms, her father's smile, the royal promise, and then, Lazira's betrayal. Guards in the room saw it. So did the people outside. The lie was broken. Lazira screamed and ran at her, but Sira's wings spread wide, knocking her down gently, not to kill, but to end the fight. It's over, Sira said softly. I am the throne. Later, the palace gates opened. Sira stepped out. This time she didn't look small. She didn't look like a slave or a frightened girl. She looked like a queen. The people knelt. Light shined from her wings and crown. Jay stood beside her, smiling. What happens now? He asked. We rebuild, she said. But this time, together. She turned to him, her voice low. I was once a princess in chains, but because of you, I'm now free. Later that night, as the stars blinked over the palace balcony, Sierra sat alone. Jace walked up behind her. "Can't sleep?" he asked. She shook her head. "Too quiet." He sat beside her. Sierra looked up at him and whispered, "Do you think I'll be a good queen?" Jace smiled. "You're already something better." She blinked. "What?" "You're someone who gave hope, not just to a planet, but to a broken girl who thought she was forgotten." Sierra's eyes welled up. "But this time, not from sadness, from peace." She leaned her head on his shoulder, and for the first time in a long, long time, she felt safe.